Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
I said the Bree Tucker, and immediately Addie, the dog sitting on the couch, was like, where's Bree?
Where's Bree?
Where's Bree?
Where's Bree? She always gives me belly rubs. Where's she at? I know.
Exactly.
I miss my office mate. My dog, as much as I love my dog, Max, he just lays on the bed and stares at me all day. That's his idea of a good day. He just lays on the bed and stares at me. That's all.
Well, she usually goes on the couch in the other room. And today I brought her in here and shut the door. And I'm like, haha, you have to spend time with me, dog. I'm not letting you go anywhere else.
It's funny, like working from home, it's got a lot of flexibility, but it can get really lonely.
It can. I like my little dog pets.
I know.
In between working.
I know, right?
It's good.
Well, like yesterday, you messaged me about hanging out because what was yesterday for us?
First day of school for us.
Yes.
First day of school.
It was crazy.
And you couldn't hang out because you're on the Whole30 and I wanted margaritas. And you're like, I can't yet.
And you know that I am a margarita gal. I am normally up for those. And I would be like, margaritas for breakfast. It's fruit juice. There's lime juice in there. It counts as healthy.
Exactly. A part of your daily 5, right?
Yes.
The fruits and veggies, margaritas.
Exactly.
And I was searching all online for Whole30, like specific margarita recipes. There's none.
Right. Because you what's so funny? You kept like trying to figure out the sweetener. And I'm like, no, I can't have sweetener. And then I was like, well, but actually I can't have alcohol. So really, it's not the same thing. Anyway, you could give me lime juice with with nothing else. And then, I could drink it. There you go.
Yeah. If you have school starting soon, this is going to be a great episode for you because we talked to one of our favorites, Dayna Abraham, who has an excellent book coming out. And she is a 2-timer.
She is.
Which we talk about in this episode. And she's a founder of Calm the Chaos Parenting and author of the new book, Calm the Chaos, a fail-proof roadmap for parenting even the most challenging kids. And it releases on today. August 15th. Today. So make sure to go to Amazon and get your copy. She specializes in helping parents with raising even the most challenging kid behaviors, sensory overwhelm, everything. We hope you enjoy our interview with Dayna.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Welcome back, Dayna, to the podcast. I just had to look up and I'm like, you are a 2-timer. It's the best thing. It's your second time here.
A 2-timer is a title of love here at the No Guilt Mom podcast.
It's a title of love here.
It's a title of honor for me. I am so excited to be back.
We need jackets. We always say that when people come back, but we need like 2-timer jackets. No Guilt Mom 2-timer.
We need a sponsor to sponsor that. So if you're listening to the podcast and you love it, sponsor the No Guilt Mom 2-timer jacket club and put you on there.
There you go. But this time, Dayna, you're coming back because you have a book coming out, Calm the Chaos, a fail-proof roadmap for parenting even the most challenging kids, which I got to sit back and read, and it is phenomenal. Great work.
Thank you.
It's just so many great parenting strategies that I told you before we started. We could really talk for like 6 hours or so. on all of the things, but there's a lot in particular that I want to dive into. So let's just dive into it.
I'm ready.
Into it. In your community, you really help parents deal with the most challenging kids. And I know in our No Guilt Mom community and our Balance VIP, the question that is often asked is, how do I find out the reason behind their behavior? Because there's so much there, right?
On Pinterest or on Instagram, and it's like the iceberg, and it's got 5 million reasons underneath, and you're like, what am I supposed to do? Throw darts at this? Like, how am I supposed to figure out what is going on under the surface?
Yeah, because there's a lot. And something in your book, your behavior funnel. Can you describe the behavior funnel?
I can. So behind the behavior funnel is kind of like sifting for gold, right? I think of those like pots or pans that have different size holes in them. And it's a process of elimination using the science of behavior and relationships and child development to really identify what are the most common needs behind a behavior. So just to, make sure we're all on the same playing field, we believe that behavior is communication. It is a sign pointing to something else going on. It is not manipulative or bossy or rude or disrespectful. And I know you guys believe that, teach that. Just making sure we're on the playing field for any listeners. And so behind that behavior is kind of, if you think of a funnel and that it's bigger on top and smaller on the bottom, is that at the very top is the most basic needs. And a lot of us think of those when we think of our babies. When we're raising really young children, we think of, do they need to have their diaper changed? Are they hungry? Are they sleepy? But as kids start getting older, we start to kind of forget some of those basic needs. And the one need, especially after the last few years that we've all gone through collectively as a society, is the basic need of safety. And that need to feel like I am in a safe place. I am safe to be myself. I am safe to make mistakes. And you'll see a lot of behavior when children are not feeling fully safe, when they're really anxious about something, when they're worried about something, when they're scared of something. And sometimes when they're overexcited about something, so they're not really feeling safe on what's going to happen and where things are going. And so if we start there and look at behavior and say, all right, are all their basic needs met? We can a lot of times address that need before having to pinpoint or dig much further into the funnel.
And that's so interesting when you say that, like, as they get older, we kind of forget about that. We forget about that in ourselves as well.
Right.
That our basic needs also need to be met for us to parent effectively. Because if I'm hungry or if I'm feeling anxious, I am not going to be my best self as a parent.
Oh my goodness, of course, right? If we're like waiting on a call or we're waiting news from the doctor, like think about how we show up if we're tired and we didn't sleep well. And that's why, like, I reach this, like, you need to give yourself time and energy too, because if you don't have any fuel in your tank, you won't be able to show up for your kid. And so you have to meet those basic needs yourself. And it's so hard, especially if you're dealing with really challenging behavior.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I often think about how we were raised. A lot of times we were told just to kind of suck it up and deal. And I often think about what led all three of us to this change in finding that there is a different way to do things than what we've been taught. Can either of you pinpoint the time that, like, it changed for you to figure out how to raise kids differently?
I'd love to hear Bree's, but I've got some ideas on mine.
Oh, mine was I started in early intervention. Like, I learned everything. So, like, as soon as my undergrad is in rehabilitation psychology. So my background in college was figuring out, what's causing the issues and mine was in drug alcohol rehab. So that's where that kind of started. And then when I started in early intervention, that's a program that works with kids that are birth to 3 that have developmental delays. So yeah, you're dealing with that iceberg we talked about that before. You're dealing with that iceberg all day long, trying to figure out what's going on here. And that's exactly my pinpoint. That's where it started. And I learned everything from my mentors in that field. So
my son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM.
Yeah.
What about you, Dayna?
I would say mine started when I was a child. I felt so unseen and unheard. And I would even be told, like, that's not a problem, or don't talk back to me. And I wasn't talking back, but I was just sharing, like, but that hurts me, or but that's overwhelming, or I don't want to do that. It was like, oh, yeah, you do. You love that. Like, I would even be told what I like or don't like. And I was like, but I don't. So yeah, I think growing up, and my mom was doing, I believe all parents are doing the best that they could with what they're given. And my mom really wanted us to fit a mold because she didn't. And so she didn't want us to have the same pain that she went through. And so it was all about like keeping up with the Joneses, putting up the appearances. And so it didn't matter if, you had sensory needs. It didn't matter if things were overwhelming like that. That wasn't really something we even talked about. You ate the food. I remember my brother, oh my gosh, I have this memory of my brother. He used to sit with food in his mouth that he didn't like. He would like chipmunk it, my mom would call it. My mom would make him sit at the dinner table until he ate it, but it would turn to mush in his mouth. So then he can't eat it. So then he's stuck with his food in his cheeks. He would sit there for hours with food in his cheeks.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a story of that. We have a story in our family about how my sister kept grapes in her mouth for 4 hours one day. Because it was a battle of the wills, man. A battle of the wills.
Battle.
Yeah.
There's so much of that battle that happens. Like, I think my shift came as soon as I became a mom and I had postpartum depression. And so I went into therapy for the very first time in my entire life. And having somebody validate my emotions and tell me that, hey, you are also dealing with this anxiety really started me thinking on, oh my gosh, what is everyone else dealing with that they don't even know? And so when you say taking care of basic needs and taking care of connection, those are things that people are struggling with and kids struggle with that we don't even think to take care of at first.
And it's so like, and especially after 2020 and beyond,
oh my gosh,
yes. Our sense of safety, our sense of knowing, like there's so much that's still unpredictable in the world and for our kids. And that unpredictability causes stress. And when we're stressed, we're going to see some behaviors if we can't understand that stress. And the connection, how many of our kids were disconnected from their peers? How many of us were disconnected from our support systems? And we do have that connection more now, but connection, which is the next layer in that funnel, is that sense of belonging. And I feel seen for who I am, and I feel heard for what I'm trying to say. And that piece even if you play with your kids, you do one-on-one time with your kids, you have all this interaction with your kids, you can still be missing that connection piece. My mom, if she was here today, would tell you, we did all kinds of things as a family. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't see me, right? You didn't hear me. You didn't know me.
Yes. Yeah.
Did, right? And so that's the piece our kids are missing.
Let's talk about that connection, because you take down one of my least favorite parenting practices in your book. And I'm so glad you did it. It is that dedicated one-on-one time, and why having this dedicated one-on-one time doesn't work. Because I see it also in our community where moms get so stressed out about what are they going to do for this dedicated one-on-one time. They don't even like the things they're doing in this dedicated one-on-one time. And which you say something really insightful about that I'm like, yes, that's me, Dayna.
Yeah, so that's definitely, I was thinking of not being a natural player, but I was also thinking of, God forbid, you have more than one, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you have 3 kids. I have someone in my community, one of our coaches has 8 kids. Like, imagine 15 minutes times 8. Like, I'm not fast at math, so I'm not going to do that math right this second, but that's like 2 hours, right? Or something like that. It's a lot of time. It's an hour and a half, something like that. It's a lot of time dedicated. That doesn't count work. That doesn't count that you've got to get them to school. That doesn't count homework. That doesn't count, like managing them in the bed and the bath and all the transitions. And, oh, you got to eat dinner? What? Like it doesn't count any of that. And so parents feel a lot of pressure and a lot of stress. So that's one. 2, a lot of parents aren't natural players. I just was talking with someone earlier today about how connection comes kind of natural to me. I was an early childhood teacher, and play is just my love language. Yeah. Like I can come up with a play activity. I have a whole activity book, right? I used to be an activity blogger. Like that just comes natural for me. My husband, on the other hand, no way, right? Yeah. Like his idea of connecting with the kids is to be like, hey, want me to take you somewhere? And they're like, yeah. And then he talks to him in the car on the way there. Like that's his connection. And it can make parents feel really guilty and really shamed into, why am I not good at this? Why can't I do this? And then there's a third piece, which is the reason I kind of like hit this one over the head, is I've had so many parents come to me, they've done this one-on-one time, and yet in the same sentence, they tell me their kid is a brat or manipulative, or that their kid is rude or disrespectful, and that they don't like their kid. And I'm like, what's the point of one-on-one connection when the other 23 hours and 45 minutes you're berating your kid, or you're nagging your kid, or you're telling them all the things they're doing wrong? Because my mom was like, my mom loved me. I know she did. And she paraded me around to everybody else. Look at what she did. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. And it was all the positives. And she was always lifting me up to others. But behind the doors, it was, you don't need to eat that. You need to lose 5 pounds. You need to get better grades. You got a B. You should have gotten an A. Like it was like nitpicking every little thing. And I truly never thought I was ever going to be good enough. And I think we do that inadvertently without thinking. My husband still calls it the dumbest thing he's ever done, but I can't believe
that right there proves that it's successful.
Yeah. He still says it was the most successful thing, but he was like, I hated it. And my son will say, that was so silly, Mom. Right. Like, but now they have the best relationship. And so that assignment was really just to notice one thing about the other person that was positive for the day. Like you helped your sister, or you helped me, open my Lego set, something super, super small, because neither one of them trusted the other person. So I couldn't go to the grocery store without getting called home for a meltdown. And now he's actually the one that wakes my son up. He's the one that like takes him here and there. And he's the one that can actually step in if I'm actually struggling with something. And it feels magical. It's not magical. It's science, but it feels magical.
I loved it because a lot of people say they have a really hard time getting their partner on board. And one way that you got around that was that, yes, you had your son notice something positive about your husband, but also you had your son hand the notebook to your husband. It's like, now write something positive about me.
Yes. And it wasn't notice something positive about me. It was like anything positive you saw. that way, because at first they couldn't even notice you helped me, I helped you. They could only notice like, I don't know, you helped your sister get something, like, and that was really the energy around it. It was like, I don't know, like rack my brain, rack my brain, rack my brain. You got something off the tall shelf for your toddler sister, like that was where it started. And then it morphed into, you gave me a hug. You helped me do this. You felt, you did this thing when it was hard for you. Like it morphed into that, but they weren't ready for it. And we had to meet them where they were.
Yeah. And it's creating those neural pathways. It's like as soon as you start noticing the little things, then like more and more of that shows up in your everyday life. It's genius. I was like, this is genius. So you have the basic needs and connection at the top of your behavior funnel. And then we go into sensory.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So sensory, I think, is one of the most overlooked reasons for behavior. And I think that, when people hear about sensory, they think, well, my kid doesn't have a diagnosis. I can shut this part of the podcast off. I can turn my brain off. And I disagree. I think if every human understood sensory, we would have so much more compassion and understanding for humans. We would understand just a couple of weeks ago when that guy had a big fit because the baby was crying. Did you guys see that on Southwest or something like that?
Yes.
And he had his own little tantrum, and I was like, oh, I see the iceberg happening here, right? Like this guy doesn't feel safe. It's too loud for him, but no one's ever taught him about sensory needs. He doesn't know that his senses are overwhelmed and overstimulated. So he doesn't have compassion for himself, nor does he have compassion for this baby. He's like, well, the baby's crying. Are you going to kick him off? I'm like, it's a baby. Like, that's literally their only communication. But yeah, I mean, sensory is not just like, here's these 5 senses. It's super cute. Let's play with them. This is how your body and brain interact with the world. This is how you take in information. This is how you process information. And this is how you interpret your surroundings. And so if one is, and we all have preferences, like I might have really strong tactile preferences and really seek out these different feelings and textures and things like that. Whereas my daughter has really strong tactile preferences where everything has to be super soft and she has to wear certain clothes. She won't wear jeans. She won't wear dresses. She'll wear a skirt. She'll wear, like if Cat and Jack wants to sponsor you guys from Target, right? Like she'll only like she's really particular about what she wears because she knows and she can say, this hurts my skin. I don't like the way this feels.
But
and
that's huge
gives
right
her
there,
a language.
right? That's huge right there. Being able to not only identify what it is that is uncomfortable for you, but being able to use that language and to be safe enough, to feel safe enough to say that and know that it's not going to come back as that's stupid, that's dumb, you're weird.
We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season. A Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
Yep. Well, it's always changing like the dialogue too around sensory. Like you said with the guy on the flight, like my neighbor across the street, we got into a little tiff about my dog barking. And like I didn't think my dog barking was too loud. And he said some choice words to me, and I told him exactly how I felt in a very kind way. But I was very direct with him, and we solved it. Turns out, like a month later, I started talking to another neighbor who talks about the same fight she gets in with this neighbor about her son's motorbike going down the street too loud. And that's when it clicked. And I'm like, oh, we have some sensory needs going on over there.
Yeah.
And it made me much more sympathetic to him once it clicked. But like my neighbor I was talking to, she's never heard about this stuff in her life. She just thinks he's a jerk. And it's not what's going on.
Yeah. It was my son's 18th birthday the other day. And so we went, he got to choose what we did, and he wanted to go bowling. This is the kid that I talk about in the book. So super sensitive to like noises, sights, smells. He wanted to go
big
bowling.
one. Bowling.
Yeah.
Couldn't go until after 5. So here it is, like a Sunday, a 4th of July weekend, and we're going after 5. It's like 7 o'clock. They've got the music blaring. They've got all the lanes are full. They've got all the foods going, right? It is sensory overload when you walk in. We walk in the door, the whole family looked at each other, and my daughter goes, it's really loud in here. It's over my headphones. My oldest son goes, I mean, maybe we can get through it. How long's the wait? And then he looked at my husband, who also is sensory sensitive, and he was like, it's really loud. I don't think we can do this. And we all collectively left. And we got in the car where it was quiet, where everyone could think. And we started brainstorming other things we could do. And he tells his girlfriend, he's like, my sister and my dad, they're just really sensitive to sound. So it was not going to work to stay there. And I was like, I think you are too. But that's but he had the language, and no one was upset. He wasn't frustrated. He was like, oh, this ruins my 18th birthday. Or it was just like, all right, let's do something else. I mean, it really changed the way you walk through life when you understand it.
It does. It does so much. We've had to leave a lot of places because my son is very sensitive to sounds as well. And it's interesting communicating with people who aren't aware of this, who like, through your work, you're helping people discover that there's this whole sensory world. Because as parents, we do get judged when we're like, yeah, my son, it's just not his thing. And they're like, oh, well, can't you bribe him? Can't you do that?
Or just that
it doesn't work that way.
Or about the other one of like, well, if he's never around it, he's never going to learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
And there is some truth in tolerance building, but not by dropping you into the most difficult situation and
right. But so my analogy would maybe be this one, and this is not fleshed out. It just came to me, I think, in kind of like pictorial like this.
Yeah.
But I think of like, if you have a sunburn, is that the time to test out sweaters?
Right? That's an excellent way to put it. Yes.
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
Like, because one's going to be too scratchy. One might have buttons. One might have seam. But like when you are like fresh skin, you feel really great, you don't have any itches, you don't have a sunburn. Now that's the time to go try on different sweaters.
Yeah,
it's the same with with any sort of skill that we're trying to help our kids build, we have plans in place now to empower our family so that we can do things that maybe we wouldn't do because of these sensory sensitivities. We go bowling during the day at 11 o'clock when no one's on the lanes and they're not blaring loud music. We can still go bowling. We just do it at a different time. And so it's not a all or nothing. It's, okay, what part of this is working? What part of this isn't? And how do I tweak this small part? Now we have a way forward.
Yeah. Which brings us to the next step on the behavior funnel, the skills. Like, is your child missing skills that they need to develop that will help them be more successful in the situation?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people jump to skills and they jump to the bottom of the funnel. And the truth is if you don't feel safe, if you don't feel connected, then, and if your body doesn't feel safe because you're inundated with these different sensory sensations, it doesn't matter what skills you have. You're not going to be able to access them. And so that's why the funnel's set up this way, is so that you're checking off these other things first. And then you're going, okay, there's some lagging skills. There's some missing skills here. Let's build on those.
Yeah, because sometimes when you're trying to deal with the more minute parts, right? And like you said, you haven't dealt with the bigger ones that are more likely to be causing the issue. It's overwhelming trying to figure out how to get to that little spot because you're looking at a bazillion reasons.
Yes. And then the last two, they're really small in the funnel. And it's what a lot of like behavior analysts will say is that all behavior is to either seek something or avoid something. And so, yes, we are seeking something. We are avoiding something. But why? Why are we desiring that thing? Why are we avoiding that thing? It's probably one of the things at the top of the funnel. And if not, it could just be like, this is a really strong value for me. Or this is, right? And a lot of our kids who have more challenging behavior, they're incredibly sensitive and incredibly empathetic. And so that strong social justice, this is not fair.
Yeah.
Like, I want this to be fair, right? They will go to the ends of the earth to make sure something meets that desire. They will avoid things like, if you don't like superheroes, you are going to avoid anything that has superheroes, especially if you've got that very rigid mindset as a child who is like, I need things in this certain order to feel safe. And superheroes, they don't make me feel safe, right? Pokemon makes me feel safe. I want Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
I'll do anything you have me do. That's where we get into that danger of thinking rewards work, is because they'll do anything for that reward because they love it so much.
Yeah. And I love how you say that usually the last part of the funnel, like the reason they're desiring or avoiding it is due to something on the top of the funnel. And you just go right back there. I love this behavior funnel. It makes so much sense. And it really brings to light the things that we forget when we're looking at kids' behaviors and what is most important to consider and then going down it. So it's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you. It has helped a lot of families. Helped me with my son. And it's taken a lot of iterations to really get clear on it. But it really comes back to, I mean, we now have people who will like behavior funnel their cat. Like, why is my cat like going after my feet? You know,
I could do it on my dog.
But it
We
works.
dogs.
Yeah, it's like, it's that whole you don't know what you don't know until you know.
Yeah. And 9 out of 10 times my dog is hungry or needs to pee. There you go. First step of behavior funnel.
Let's check those basic needs. Oh, they feel like we haven't loved on them lately. Okay. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us about your book, Dayna.
So my book, Calm the Chaos, comes out very soon. And it it walks parents through all the way from survival mode to thriving as a family. And the behavior funnel is part of the understanding piece. I believe that there are 4 main pillars that parents need, and it's all based on best practices. It's based on child psychology and all the things that we've learned over the last 20 years about children and development, relationships, communication, and then it marries it with your hard-won experience, because I don't want parents to feel like they don't have knowledge or that they can't trust their intuition and that there's someone else that's going to give them the answers. Yes, there are best practices, but you also are an expert in your child. And so when you have these 4 pillars, it makes it so much easier to say, okay, how do I handle this? How do I handle that? Knowing this base, to walk me through it.
Yes, and you're so encouraging throughout the book too, and just telling parents, take it one at a time, do one thing at a time, and this is a skill, it takes practice, it's okay, you're doing great. So I highly recommend it to every parent. You have such knowledge in there, and it's all based on science. And Dayna, it's been a thrill again. Thank you for being a 2-timer and coming on the podcast.
I'm honored to be a 2-timer. Thank you so much.
We got to get you on the Happy Mom Summit, Dayna. That's what we need. You to be a speaker. No.
Sounds great.
We'll work on that, and we'll talk to you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Dayna is always a wealth of knowledge, and that behavior funnel that she has, oh my gosh, it totally changes how I am going to be teaching and explaining, finding the reasons behind your kids' behaviors. I think it's genius.
I love it. And what I especially love about Dayna's approach is that she's constantly like, okay, it's not that your kid is bad. It's not that you're feeling as a parent. There's like all these other pieces to put together. And she brings it in such an easy to understand and an easy way to approach. So I just absolutely love that.
It's so interesting because it has totally changed my parenting, this whole digging deeper into sensory behaviors and like reasons behind things and neurotypical behavior too. Because sometimes like you look around, you're like, why aren't everyone else's kids having as much of a struggle as my kids are with this specific thing? And in my family, anxiety is incredibly prevalent, incredibly prevalent.
Same.
And so it's made me, same. So it's made me look at them, and when they're struggling, we have lots of conversations about shame in our house. We have lots of conversations about sensory needs in our house, because I don't think I've shared this with you. Do you know that Josh walks around the house with noise canceling headphones?
No, but I can see that based on the conversations that we've had about Eric, and I seen how much Eric and Josh have a lot of similarities.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I never put it together before I was reminded in reading Dayna's book again about sensory needs. But it's a form of self-care for him.
Yep.
Because he gets so overstimulated that he's listening to podcasts and stuff with noise canceling headphones. But it's this way of controlling his auditory environment and being able to regulate himself. Because he tells me, he's like, I need to have this to be in a good mood in the morning. He goes to coffee and relaxes and everything. And then he has his headphones on in the evening.
And that is so helpful that he knows that. And I love that your kids are growing up and seeing that be a positive function in the family, so that they're going to be able to, that's just a part of their personality. That's just part of the way that they think going forward. Like you said, the whole sensory aspect of it, I know I learned about it when I was in my 20s from working in early intervention. And even though I know it, I don't think about it all the time. It's not in the forefront of things. And I know both of my kids have sensory stuff, and I do try to bring it up to them. And they do love to do the whole, I'm fine, Mom. One of my kids, I did buy noise canceling headphones for my stepson, and he loved them. But at the same time, he doesn't like to use them because he doesn't like to. He'll say I don't need them. And you could just hear it in the voice. It's the whole, I don't want to need them. But
oh, yeah.
They're very
That's
helpful.
a hard thing to get over.
Yeah.
This pushback of being no, there's nothing different about me.
Right. And
there's nothing I need.
We all have some degree of sensory integration. All of us have certain smells, tastes, textures, sounds that we don't like. The most common one, nails on chalkboard. Right? Almost everybody, that sound bothers you. That is a sensory thing, people. So we all have it. We all just have varying ways to work through it. And how great is it that how much more functional and happy is Josh that he can articulate it and that you guys can support that. So
yeah,
I love
and that Eric is realizing it as well. I mean, he got a pair of noise canceling headphones that he's wearing around the house, and you see him.
Oh, and I don't blame him wearing it in the car with his sister's friends, because my daughter being one of those friends. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he did do that. Yes, he did do that. And he was much calmer when we arrived at the destination and happier. It was a very good thing.
Love it.
But
love it.
Dayna's book is fantastic. Go get it. It came out today. And if you listen here to the No Guilt Mom podcast, can we ask you for a favor? can you go review us? Especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, can you just leave us a quick review? Just leave us a quick review. It would mean so much to us, and it gets the No Guilt Mom podcast in front of more people so that we can change this conversation about what it means to be a mom and what it means to give to yourself, and that you're not being since actually for the good of everyone. Remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday, who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.